Hi, my name is Taylor, and welcome to the MSU Denver Institute for Women's Studies and Services Write a Winning Scholarship Essay Workshop. This PowerPoint was developed by our Associate Director, who has a master's degree in writing and has been helping college students write scholarship essays for more than 6 years. We will start out with an activity. Take out a piece of paper and a pen and answer this question. What are some things that you already know about scholarship essays? Make a list. Pause this presentation, and when you are done with the activity, press Start again. Keep this list in mind as we move through this presentation. We'll come back to it at the end. The essay can cause many students to never complete their scholarship application. Developing an essay can be intimidating. Students may not know how to begin writing a scholarship essay, and they feel intimidated by the competition. They figure that they can't possibly write well enough to win, so why bother? Many of the people who apply have already failed to win the scholarship because they messed up the application with simple mistakes. For example, not following instructions, or leaving the application incomplete. Many scholarships get few or no applications, especially smaller or little-known scholarships. Scholarship donors sometimes send out mass emails asking faculty and staff to encourage students to apply for a particular scholarship that no one has applied to. The fact is, you have a decent chance at winning a scholarship if you work hard at it. We are going to go over some general writing tips in a few slides. We will get to writing tips that are specific to scholarship essays. Remember that long, complicated sentences do not sound more intellectual. Simple, clear, and straightforward is the essence of good writing. Don't try to impress your reader by using flowery sentences or big words. And remember, the goal of writing is to communicate ideas meaningfully and effectively. In the green box, we see an example of a sentence that uses so many words that it's really difficult to understand. The sentence reads, matriculating non-X chromosomal Homo sapiens, desirous of upper percentile indicators, in logocentric discursive pedagogy, should eschew utilizing verbiage equivalent to higher monetary amounts where a segment of discourse akin to metallic financial tokens would suffice. This is a terrible sentence, simply because it's hard to understand due to the big words. By the way, that sentence means students who want good grades should avoid $100 words when 5-cent word would work just as well. Doesn't that make so much more sense? Good writing is simple, clear, and straightforward. Along the same lines, remember, if you can use a small word instead of a big word, do it. If you're not 100% sure what it means, look it up in a dictionary. Again, direct, clear writing is the best way to go. I can't count the number of essays I've read where students misuse big words. I'm not saying don't ever use big words. I'm saying be careful how you use them. If a big word is the most precise way to say something, by all means use it. But if you're not sure what it means, look it up in a dictionary. I like dictionary.com and use it frequently. Furthermore, if a small word would work just as well in the place of a big word, your writing will usually sound more succinct and clearer if you choose the small word. Now this slide is super important. You must follow the instructions or you will be disqualified. Meet the word count or page requirement. Stick to any structural guidelines provided. Make sure your essay answers the question or questions. This last one is crucial. I see many essays that either don't answer the question at all, or else answer only one part of the question. For example, the MSU Denver Scholarship application has 3 questions, and I've seen many essays that only answer 2. For example, if the scholarship application asks about the history of Colorado, and you end up writing about modern-day Colorado agriculture, your essay does not answer the question. Think of it this way. If an organization receives 200 applications for 10 scholarships, an easy way to cut out a bunch of the applications is to throw out the ones that didn't answer the question. Here we have the Calvin and Hobbes comic strip. Calvin: what a ripoff! They say if you connect these dots, you get a picture, but look, I did it, and it's just a big mess. Hobbes. I think you're supposed to connect them in the order that they are numbered. Calvin. Oh. Everything's gotta have rules, rules, rules. Avoid filler. Take it out. Filler is what students write when they don't know what to write and are trying to fill space. Filler is like cotton candy. It takes up space, and after you're done, you don't really feel satisfied. Judges of scholarship essays will recognize filler immediately. Filler will lower your chances of getting a scholarship. Take it out. Instead, do more free writing. Or if appropriate, get yourself to the library and do some more research. Write 3 drafts. This idea of writing 3 drafts comes from Anne Lamott's book, Bird by Bird. During the first draft, give yourself permission to write the ideas as they come to you. Make spelling or grammar mistakes galore. None of that matters. Just get it all down. In the second draft, revise. Address larger issues of content and structure in this draft. In the second draft, revise. Is the point of your essay clear? Does each paragraph and section relate somehow to your main point? Does the structure work well? Do you need to move some sentences or paragraphs? Or else reorganize the whole thing? Are there ideas that you still need to write about more? In the third draft, editing or proofreading happens. In this draft, look closely at sentence structure, grammar, and typos. Don't rely on spell check. Spell check will not find missing words, wrong words, for example, if you happen to type form instead of from, and many other mistakes. In this draft, especially if grammar is not your strong suit, give your essay to someone else to proofread. When you know that you can fix everything on the next draft, you don't have to stop writing to worry. Did I say that right? Should a comma go here? Does the idea in this sentence flow logically into the idea of the next sentence? Writing 3 drafts makes the process easier. Now we are going to look at tips for writing a great scholarship essay. These tips were adapted from scholarships.com and scholarshiphelp.org. We'll start by talking about the most important thing to remember. If you only take one thing away from this presentation, it should be this. Whenever possible, tell a true story about an event or an experience in your life. Rather than listing qualities, skills, or accomplishments, tell about the time that your mom went through open heart surgery during your first semester of college, how you dealt with it, and how it changed you. Some students do try to just list the things that they've accomplished: work, student organizations, volunteer experience. But imagine how boring an essay like that would be. The idea is that you want the person reading your essay to feel like they know you. Tell how you came to feel passionate about your career field, a moment or experience in your life that changed you or motivated you to change, or your own unique life story. Think like the judges. Imagine that you work for a company that donates scholarships, and you've volunteered to be on the committee to decide who receives the scholarship. And like this woman, you have your regular job to do, in addition to reading 20 or 80 scholarship essays. What would make an essay stand out? What would make you say, we should give this student money? Here are some common answers that we come up with when I give this presentation in person. An essay with no grammar errors. An essay that's interesting. An essay with a great first line. An essay that answers the question. And most importantly, an essay that tells a short, true story about the writer. What applications would you throw away? Common answers include an essay with mistakes or typos, an essay that's hard to read or understand, an essay that's boring, an essay that doesn't answer the question, and again, last but definitely not least, an essay that does not tell a short, true story about the writer. Analyze the question or topic. Understand the purpose of asking the essay question. Regardless of the theme, the essay is really about you. The judges want to know about you, your thoughts, your beliefs, and ideas. Remember, tell a story about yourself. Does the question suggest a structure, such as these 3 questions from MSU Denver scholarship application? Describe your interest in your chosen field of study and how you will use your degree upon graduation. How will a scholarship assist you in attaining your goals? Share any unique experiences or qualities that may distinguish you from other deserving candidates. Decide. Do you have to do research, or is this an analysis of yourself? How do the judges plan to get to know you through this essay? Make sure you are prepared to write. Brainstorm. Get out a pencil and paper. Write down everything that comes to mind, even if you don't think it's very good. Once you've written down all the ideas you can think of, then you can decide which of them to use. When you brainstorm, great ideas shine through. Too often, by censoring ourselves, we toss out our best ideas. Think critically. Don't be critical of your thoughts. Organize. When you are done brainstorming, organize your ideas into the most logical order. From these ideas, you should be able to see an outline. Write an outline. The outline will assure that you have the right order and that you will cover all of the points that you want to cover. A note about hardship stories is that hardship stories are okay if they have a happy ending. Now, what do I mean by a hardship story? A hardship story is again a short, true story about yourself. However, and more specifically, hardship stories are stories about difficult or even tragic things that we have experienced. If you learned from it, grew from it, and everything worked out well in the end, go ahead and tell that story. If it does not have a happy ending, pick a different story. Here we have another cartoon. The big monster says, "I love a happy ending." The little one says, "Me too." A note about religion and politics. Avoid writing about these. Why? People feel very strongly about religion and politics. And if you write about something your reader doesn't agree with, that person may put your application in the no pile. The exception to this, of course, is if the scholarship is specifically through an organization that is faith-based or political in nature. During your second and third drafts, you are rewriting. An important concept that will help you with these drafts is show, don't tell. Consider the following example. My family does not have a lot of money. I worked my way through high school at Walmart. The message can be made more vivid by sharing more detail. My family does not have a lot of money. I worked at the local Walmart most evenings and did my homework on the bus ride home or after work. Now the writer adds even more detail. My family does not have a lot of money. We work together on a schedule so I can earn money for college and stay on top of my schoolwork. Most weekdays after school, I attend one of my club meetings, then catch the late bus home. I usually finish my math homework on the ride. I get home in time to grab supper ahead of time. Mom always has something ready on the stove. Then work on other homework until Dad drives in at about 5:35 p.m. We pass each other in the driveway, transferring keys and information. I ace the math test. It needs gas on the way home. The 15-minute drive gets me to Walmart in time to punch in for the 6 p.m. to closing shift. On nights that the family needs the car, Dad drives me both ways. I'm home again by 9:30 p.m., in time to chat with my folks and watch 30 minutes of Comedy Central before going to bed. Now this is an interesting student in a great family. Everybody participates, everybody cooperates. You can feel the close timing involved in making the situation work. You can hear the easy interaction of people who care for each other. You know that this person is not a robot and needs a little human interaction, plus a little TV before starting over. We like this student, don't we? We'd like to help out this family. They deserve it. Now we're going to do another activity to give you some practice in showing versus telling. The quote on this slide is by Anton Chekhov. "Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass." Open the document on this website entitled Showing versus Telling. Pause this presentation, read the instructions, and do the activity. The point of this activity is to get you familiar with showing so that you can use some of these techniques in your scholarship essay. Recently, I spoke with a student who was frustrated about the idea of telling a short, true story about herself because she felt like she only had boring stories to tell about herself. What do you do in this case? To answer that question, I want us to look at the lyrics to one of my favorite songs, Everest by Ani DeFranco. In this song, she's telling a short, true story about herself that on the surface might seem like a boring story. She's describing going with her friend to church. Please pause the presentation now and take a moment to read the lyrics on the slide. We can see that it's the details she uses that make this story interesting. Even though she's talking about a pretty regular event, the details she uses creates images in our minds. Cinder blocks, fluorescent lights, the floors were scrubbed clean. Everybody had a tambourine. Everybody stared. And squeaky sandal shoes? These are just a few examples. These details give us a sense of what this experience was like for her. In your second and third drafts, go back through and find places where you told instead of showed. In every sentence where you have told the reader something, is there a way you could show by example? Rewrite a compelling conclusion. Don't summarize. Instead, re-emphasize the main point, or circle back to the beginning and tie the loop. For example, one student wrote about her experience as a volunteer literacy teacher. She introduced the essay by stating that she decided to do this work because her dad could not read. This story begs for a conclusion that answers the question, did her dad learn to read? Don't summarize. For example, Dad may never read Dostoevsky, but we are both thrilled that he can now read his sister's letters from his hometown in Romania and doesn't have to pretend to read the newspaper anymore. Dad never did learn to read, but through his struggle, I learned that I want to give the gift of literacy to others, the gift that no one has been able to give my dad. Very different endings, but in each, we hear the effect that the experience has had on the writer. That's the point. We gained insight into this student's life through writing. So the question is, where do I start? The first step is to complete your FAFSA, and then the MSU Denver Scholarship application, which can be found at www.msudenver.edu/financial-aid/scholarships. Also, check out the IWSS website for our extensive database of scholarships at www.msudenver.edu/women/scholarships. And for more information, please view the online workshop entitled Scholarships 101. What do you know now? Take a moment to pause the presentation, write down your answer, and compare it to the list from the beginning of the presentation. What have you learned? Get someone else to read your essay before you turn it in. Use on-campus resources. The Writing Center, appointment required, is located in the King Center, room 415. Their phone number is 303-556-6070. Also, visit the Institute for Women's Studies and Services, IWSS. All genders are welcome. We are located at 1059 9th Street Historic Park, 2 houses down from Einstein Bagels. Or you can call us at 303-556-8441. Do you feel unsure about any of this? Are you having trouble getting started? Or do you have a draft and need someone to take a look at it? Set up an appointment with us, and we will help you to write the best essay you can. If you have any questions, please contact the Institute for Women's Studies and Services at 303-556-8441 or email smart201@msudenver.edu. Thanks for watching our video, and happy scholarship essay writing!